All right, so who hasn't daydreamed about hopping into a time machine, right? Zipping back to ancient Rome, maybe getting a glimpse of the future. This article we're diving into today really takes that fantasy and grounds it in some serious science.
It's definitely not your typical time travel fluff piece.
Not at all. We're talking entropy, quantum mechanics, the real deal. But don't worry, we'll make sure everything's crystal clear as we go, ready to explore the mind-bending possibilities of time travel.
Let's dive in.
The article wastes no time throwing us a curveball with the grandfather paradox.
Oh yeah, that one always gets you thinking. It's such a classic thought experiment.
Right, the idea that if you travel back in time and, say, accidentally prevent your own grandparents from meeting,
Goof, you cease to exist. But then how could you have gone back in time to cause that in the first place?
it's a total mind warp. And it really underscores the knotty issue of causality when it comes to time travel. The article goes on to explore how science fiction grapples with this paradox.
There's the self-correcting timeline idea, like in Back to the Future. No matter what you change, the universe nudges things back on course.
Right, like some kind of cosmic reset button.
Then there's the multiverse theory, popularized by movies like The Butterfly Effect. Every choice, every change creates a whole new parallel universe. Infinite possibilities branching out like a crazy tree.
It's a bit overwhelming to imagine. And we can't forget about the predetermined timeline, where everything is fixed, like in The Time Traveler's Wife. Free will takes a bit of a hit there.
True, but it does offer a neat solution to those pesky paradoxes. But okay, let's reel ourselves back in from all these fictional universes. What about the real science?
Exactly. The article brings up this idea of the arrow of time. Can you unpack that for us?
So the arrow of time basically describes how we experience time as flowing in one direction from past to future. This directionality is tied to the concept of entropy, which, in simple terms, is the tendency of things to move from order to disorder. Think of a shattered glass. It's never going to spontaneously reassemble itself, right?
Sadly, no. Or a hot cup of coffee, always cooling down, never the other way around.
Precisely. Entropy is kind of like a universal force pushing everything towards greater disorder, pushing us forward in time. Suddenly, that second cup of coffee doesn't seem so appealing.
Maybe not, but then the article dives into the quantum realm and things start to get really weird. It suggests that particles at this level don't necessarily obey the same rules of time as we do.
Yeah, this is where things get mind-boggling. At the quantum level, particles can seemingly move forwards and backwards in time. It's like the arrow of time gets a little fuzzy.
Hold on, are we saying that time travel might actually be possible at this quantum scale?
Well, the article highlights a study that looked into the idea of time loops within quantum mechanics. Turns out, these loops are mathematically possible, but there's a catch. For a particle, or even a person, to travel back in time, their entropy would have to decrease. They'd essentially be getting younger as they move back in time. It'd be like a particle spontaneously rearranging itself into a more ordered state.
So not quite like hopping into a DeLorean and cruising back to the Jurassic period.
No, it's more like, imagine you have a lump of dough. You've mixed in all the ingredients, it's all combined. Now, try to unmix it. Get all those ingredients back to their original separate states. Pretty much impossible, right? That's kind of what the article suggests about traveling backward in time. It goes against this fundamental principle of entropy increasing.
Okay, so no dinosaur visits for us then. But the article also mentions faster than light travel, something we often see linked to time travel in science fiction. What's the connection there?
Ah, yes. Einstein's theories of relativity come into play here. Essentially, they suggest that if you could exceed the speed of light, a huge if, mind you, you could theoretically travel back in time.
That's wild. But wouldn't that create all sorts of paradoxes?
Here's where the article throws in another mind-bending twist. It proposes that the very nature of the arrow of time, the one that keeps our universe ticking forward, might actually prevent those paradoxes from happening. In other words, faster than light travel might be possible without unleashing those pesky time loops.
Okay, my brain is officially doing backflips.
Yeah.
So after all this mind-bending science, where do we stand on the whole time travel debate? Is it truly just a fantasy, or is there a sliver of hope for us aspiring time travelers?
Based on our current understanding of physics, the kind of time travel we see in movies, hopping in a machine and popping up in a different era, seems highly improbable. But the research into quantum mechanics, particularly how it intersects with time and faster than light travel, is opening up some incredibly exciting possibilities. There's still a lot we don't know about the universe and how time works within it.
Absolutely. And that's what makes it so fascinating to explore. It really leaves us with a lot to think about. Let's say, just for fun, That we could somehow solve that entropy problem and figure out how to travel through time. What ethical dilemmas would that create? What would it mean for our understanding of history, of free will, of destiny? It really makes you ponder the very nature of time itself, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
And if any of our listeners want to dive deeper into these fascinating concepts, the article mentions a learning platform called Brilliant. They've got courses on everything from quantum physics to special relativity, all designed to make these complex ideas accessible and engaging.
It's a fantastic resource for anyone who loves to learn and explore the mysteries of the universe.
So whether you're a diehard science buff or just curious about the world around us, we highly recommend checking out Brilliant. You might just discover your next intellectual adventure.
Absolutely. You never know what mind-blowing concepts you might uncover.
That's it for this deep dive. Until next time, keep those minds curious and those imaginations firing.
And who knows, maybe one day we'll be discussing actual time travel experiences.
One can only dream.